hello, everybody. I know I'm super uber duper late, but your girl had to go run the streets and stuff. I'm sure nobody's going to show up because I didn't share this out, but that's perfectly fine. That is perfectly fine. Duke is currently out of town, stuck on his round, so it's going to just be me and Nita.B. She may be coming, she may not. I did send a link to her a little late. So that's my bad, but we'll see. Anyway, I honestly really just wanted to talk about the complete and utter nonsense that has been going on surrounding therapists, fake therapists, psychotherapists, and all those things in between. If you guys don't know, this is going to be a really quick live, because I'm kind of just getting into it, and I want to start using this other platform, because right now it's looking a little crazy for you, girl. It's looking a little crazy for her. But I've been seeing a lot of stuff going on with, what's her name, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. So a lot of people have always questioned her doctorate and her credentials on what she does, what she is a part of, what she can or cannot do with patients, with people, and things of that nature. And I don't know. I'm starting to see a lot of people are now questioning her about this shit. Because mind you, they would they how do I say this? They started questioning Dr. Cheyenne Bryant when her and Corey Holcomb were kind of going at it. And Corey, as we know, is like a very horrible depiction of a man, right? He literally just says the most crazy ass nonsense out of his mouth that he possibly could. Great comedian, just not the greatest human being. And him and Cheyenne had gotten to a little bow back and forth. Okay, that's Benita. Hold on one second. Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
Are you on right now?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I didn't plan well. I'm coming.
Okay, just use the link I texted you.
Okay.
Okay, bye. Um, so yeah, so her and Corey had gotten to it, and he had started like, "Are you a doctor? Are you a real doctor? You just one of the people that just call yourself a doctor?" But of course, because the way that him and her were going back and forth, people were on the side of her. And then she started going to, the Nick Cannons and the Cam Newtons, and basically reading them for filth. Oh, there's my girl. She's getting it together. Hi,
Hi. I am
Benita.
not ready. I was supposed to be showered and had dinner, but shit happened. So I'm gonna be off camera for a little bit, and then I'll come back on later. I don't even know who's in here, and I'm just talking cash
No,
shit.
no. I
Hello,
listen. It's
everybody.
it's one person who's watching. I don't know who it is, but shout out to them.
Shout out to y'all.
Yeah, because I did not have a chance to. I found out earlier that the show was going to be like so I sent it out to people like, "Hey, do you want to do show?" Bonita came through with the came through, said, "Yeah, I can do it." I should have
Mhm.
really paused for a second, created the show, shared it to people, let it be known that
Right.
it was still happening. But there was a lot of different transactions happening at this moment in time that I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know if this is still happening right now because it's just getting a little chaotic for your girl.
Yeah. It's getting a
Um,
little chaotic. Yeah.
yeah, but I was able to make it home in a decent time. So I was like, I'll still do it. I'll still push through. I hate not having a show, so at least try to do something. So have you seen the stuff going on with Dr. Cheyenne Bryant?
Man, listen, I am so excited to talk
So
about
so
this.
so I was just talking about like the background to why people started speculating
Mhm.
her and her
Mhm.
degree of like her and comedian Corey Holcomb had gotten to like a back and forth, but because of how insane of a human being Corey Holcomb is. People were kind of
Mhm.
like on her side, regardless of the fact. And then even her going on Nick Cannon's podcast and Cam Newton's podcast and kind of reading them for filth on just like how they are creating these broken home for these plethora of children that they have, and
Mhm.
all these different things, and how they're womenizers in some form. Um, people would never question her, obviously, because what she's saying sounds and to be true, like, just about them. So, and then she started joining the to let's talk or tonight's conversation podcast, which
Mhm.
also has caused stir in the media at some point, maybe a year and a half ago. But that's the podcast that travels and will have
Yes,
like
I know
whole
them.
showcases and
Yeah.
have people come up and ask relationship questions, love questions, things of that nature. So she
So
kind of has joined on to that part time too. But I think the what right now has been the main reason people have been overly questioning her for whatever reason. It's been within the recent like 2 to 3 months. People have always questioned her, but in the recent 2 or 3 months, especially after her being on the Joe Budden podcast,
mm.
she's really getting questioned on
So
her credentials.
I'll tell you what I know because there's a lot of things I don't know, and I kind of looked up some stuff because I got really introduced to this like a few days ago.
Hmm.
So I've known about her because I did watch the Nick Cannon and the Cam Newton podcast, and I was like, oh yeah, hell yeah, they all they doing is creating broken homes, and I don't care who doesn't agree with me. You know what I'm saying? It is what it
Hmm.
is. But what I saw was I think she did a show. I can't remember what it is, but it was Torre's show. And I find
Hmm.
him to be a really good reputable source. Like he's a kind man who
Oh, the recent
spits
one,
facts.
yes,
The recent one, right?
yes,
So that's what started it. That's what got me thinking, oh, skirt, what's happening?
right.
Because she was very unprofessional when he was trying to end the show. And he did a follow-up video, which I watched
I
because
watched it too. Hmm.
right. So you saw how he was like, we literally had a meeting about you doing this.
Hmm. And he
So
said it
it
while
was
he was closing out too.
yes, he said it multiple times. So hearing the context behind that was interesting because I'm like, anybody of caliber that gets to speak on stages and give advice of any sort should have some professionalism tied to that. You know what I'm saying? So for
Right,
her to go off the handle and stop raising your voice, he wasn't even raising his voice. He was trying to speak over you because you were interrupting him. You know what I'm saying? And then
right,
bringing his wife into it and just acting real out of character. Well, I don't think it's out of character. When you get like that, that's your character for real. Everything
right.
else has been a facade. But I saw that, and then the other follow up thing was I didn't realize she was on Basketball Wives because Evelyn Lozado did a podcast with her daughter because she has that podcast, and they talked about Cheyenne's relationship with Brooke on the show and the drama that went down. Now I used to regularly watch that because other people's trash is my entertainment, but
Mhm,
I hadn't caught up. Like I had stopped watching it. So this was like 2 years ago she was on the show. And
mhm,
oh, she was so childish and unprofessional. So when people in the comments were like, Evelyn Ben knew how Cheyenne really operates because anybody that gets to see you in close encounters, think about it. When you're just performing on a show or doing a podcast or something, you are performing. You're doing
right,
something outside of your norm. But when you're in a reality show, you get to be yourself. Yes, sure, you're still performing because cameras are around, but the topic
mhm,
is not all professional. It's a lot of personal stuff
mhm,
happening too. So it's very quick for you to get out of that performative stance and get a little ratchet, I guess you could say, or just a little unruly. You know what I'm saying? So I saw that, and that's the only two things that I've really seen. And now the discourse is like, does she really have a degree? Does she really? If she does, then why doesn't she show us the proof? You know what I'm saying? Like, where's your degree? Where's your picture? Where's your graduation picture? Like, none of that stuff is like what she's leading with.
Now, what I will say is that I just recently seen a video of a woman who went to college with her, who got her degree, like
Mm.
her degree with her. She goes, "I we had classes together, like, we went to the same school." Now, she said, "I know I graduated." She
Mm.
didn't say, "I seen her graduate," or "I watched her across the stage," or "I heard her
Oh,
name." She's like, "I know I graduated," and then she shows her degrees, right? So, I
interesting.
think they have the same degree field and everything, so it's like, almost in a shady way of saying, "I went there where she claims she went to school. I saw her there.
Mm-hmm.
We were,
Mm-hmm.
let's just say, in the same halls and same classes and on
Mm-hmm.
campus with each other." And then she said, like, "I know I graduated." You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
that could mean anything. That doesn't constantly mean that this person, they should have been in the same graduating class. You could have had one who graduated a year earlier, one who didn't walk the
Mm-hmm.
stage. Who knows? But I do think that some people find it weird when you don't have the credits to have certain titles to your name. And
Mm-hmm.
I wish people were a little bit more educated about education, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can
Mm-hmm.
have a doctorate degree in literally fucking anything. Just like you can get your master's degree in literally anything. After you get your bachelor's and you're done with your undergrad, you can go into masters whatever the fuck you want. That's just a second tier of
Yeah.
education. So
Yeah.
I graduated with my bachelor's of arts in communications, but I also have my minor in psychology. If I wanted to, I could go get my master's in psychology. I could
Right.
get my master's in sociology. I could get my master's in engineering. I could get my master's. I could do whatever I want because the main thing I have to get in the bitch is a fucking bachelor's degree, right? Because
Exactly.
I could start off with a bachelor's in communication, but I want a master's in business administration because I want to run my own radio show. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
like so it kind of coincides with it, but it doesn't. So you can literally do
Right.
what you want after that. Once you get your master's degree, then that's when the next level up would be your PhD. Now that is your constant, like your real concentration of like, this is
Right.
what you are overly studying in. This is something that you actually have to have like the deepest interest in it, because your master's is a 2-year program. Your PhD can vary depending on
Mm-hmm.
the subject of study. And
Mm-hmm.
so, especially when you're doing something within psychology or sociology or things of that nature, it is going to take a little bit more time, and you may have to take outside courses of your curriculum to have the accreditation to do certain things in that field.
Right.
So you could, like I said, I have my bachelor's communications. Let's just say I got my master's in business administration, but now I'm getting my psychology in communications of the world. Like I could do it that way if I wanted to. And
Mm-hmm.
that depends on how long I've been in that study, how that's going to last.
Right.
But just because I am not seeing a patient, diagnosing, or writing a script does not mean I cannot have doctor as my prefix for my name. As soon
Right.
as you have a PhD, you are doctor who the fuck ever you want to be.
Right.
You are
Uh-huh.
doctor yada yada of education, doctor of this person of
Mm-hmm.
engineering, doctor. You're a doctor. It doesn't fucking matter. Any person who has
Mm-hmm.
a PhD, even if you're not doing something in that field, if you want to go by doctor, you are legal and liable to do that because you have a PhD.
Right. Right.
Totally different than saying that you are a therapist, a psychoanalyst, that you are a psychologist. Like
Mm-hmm.
that, it's totally different. So that's why
Mm-hmm.
I feel like people are getting it confused, because they're making it seem like she's putting these diagnoses on people and treating them, and I don't believe she's ever said or done that. She's taking what her educational studies has taught her as the clear signs of what a person may have out of the ICDM, I believe is the acronyms for the psychology book. But like
Mm-hmm.
he's taking that and saying, you show narcissistic traits, you show
Right. Right. Right.
you show whatever. But she's not diagnosing and saying this is what you are, this is what this is. Like anybody can say what the fuck you are. It doesn't really matter if you have a degree or not. Nor is she taking the extra classes and courses that you have to take over the courses of years, that in order to keep it, that you are able to study, analyze, and diagnose people. You don't have to.
Right.
You don't want to.
But
There
even
are
then,
yeah.
there is something that's more detailed in that as well. Like there's a lot of life coaches that have gone viral and that have statuses on social media that give a lot of advice. And some of them are sound. Don't get me wrong. Some of them do
Mhm.
make sense because we have to also understand a lot of behaviors are patterns that are familiar. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? That the cause of the nature of these traumas are typically around the same categories. Now, it could be
Right.
different depending on the variables of definitely the experience, but I think that also plays in a part of how their healing journey goes. Because if you're just giving like a cookie cutter plan to somebody
You don't really know how they process information. You don't really know what is the source of why they do the things that they do. Like, you're not getting to the nitty gritty of it. And just diagnosing and doing stuff like that can be
Right.
harmful to the patient. You know what I'm saying? So, these
Mhm.
life coaches that are giving all this advice and going on, like, I kind of like, everyone has always said, everyone basically has it in them to be a life coach. But should everyone be a life coach? Absolutely not.
No.
Because it really, you have to drive a passion. There has to be a passion that drives you to understand human nature in itself, but also the individual experience of that person that you're trying to treat. Because
Mhm.
I've been to a psychiatrist, and like I said 3 words and she was like, here's your medication. And I'm looking at her like, now what? Absolutely not, because I'm always seeking counsel in some way. Like, so I've been to therapy, I tried psychiatry, I've done counseling, I've done a life coach, and I take the good things that I've learned and put it together, and that's how I was able to like turn my life around.
Right.
But when I went to the psychiatrist, it was so quick for me to be like, "Oh no, this is not the right person." Doesn't mean I'm cutting out psychiatry. I'm just cutting her out because her solution is to go by the book and prescribe medication. Like sometimes
Yeah.
people have like, "Oh, I did a good thing today. I was able to give her some medication that might feel her better, might have her help her feel better."
Right.
And so we have to understand the purpose of that particular therapist, psychiatrist, et cetera,
And
because
people also
oftentimes you don't.
right, and people also have to understand the difference between all of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you
Mm-hmm.
go see a psychologist, right, or,
Mm-hmm.
or that's your therapist, right?
Right.
That is a person who you first meet, you first have your first initial like meeting with, see if
Mm-hmm.
they work for you. If they do work for you, you keep working with them, and you
Mm-hmm.
start off with a weekly basis or maybe bi-weekly depending on what you need, and then at
Right.
some point in time you start weaning to maybe not every week, every 2, and then it goes every
Yeah.
3, and then it goes to every month, and that you're seeing your, your therapist, because now you're becoming more, depending on how you and your therapist are, maybe you just might enjoy each other like me and my therapist. I could at this point we are 3 years in no, 4 years in the game. 5?
Yeah.
It's 2026. God damn. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
we've been with each other since 2021. So I see her weekly because I want to see her weekly and she wants to see me weekly. Like it's just like
Mm-hmm.
a thing that we want to. At this point, could I see her every 2 months? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But we like each other,
And
right?
that journey
It's
is also specific to your needs as well.
to
Like, for
your needs and,
example,
and what and what you need.
when
But
I started therapy, I was at rock bottom. So I was suicidal. So for me, I needed to see her weekly for a year straight. Like,
right,
it was necessary,
right.
sometimes twice a week, depending on how hard my week had been.
Mhm.
But when I started weaning off to every 2 weeks, like, I was really proud of myself because I was like, I don't need anyone to hold my hand right now. Like, I'm starting to understand that I can manage my life. So when I had encouraged my friend to go to therapy, it took a year of convincing just for her to try it out. And for her, she needed to go once a month because
Mhm.
it wasn't as severe as mine.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just depends on what kind of trauma you've had, how long you've held it in, have you spoken about it? Because I do believe that talking about your life and your trauma does have contribute to your healing. If you're not talking about it and denying it completely, it is very hard to get it out because
Oh
there's
yeah.
so many reasons why you kept it in, right? So
Right.
for her, she had always talked about her trauma. So for her to go to therapy, it was like, it's not that beneficial, but I do like that I have someone I can, tell things to, throw
Right.
up, like, yeah, verbal diarrhea, because of the fact that they don't have a bias in this game. Like, they don't have a stake in this
Mhm.
game. They don't really need. I don't need their opinion. I remember when my therapist told me, I was like, "So how many kids do you have?" She was like, "Do you feel guilty?" And I just looked at her with my eyes wide open, like, "What?" She was like, "Because you've been talking about yourself for weeks, and now you feel guilty." And I'm like, "Oh
Uh,
my God, you
that's
called me out."
that's
She
funny.
was like, "I'm telling you right now, you're paying me to do this. You don't need to
Right.
ask about my life. I'll tell
Right.
you if you're really interested, but
Right.
you don't need to ask about." And I was like, "Oh, because I really don't care. I'm too exhausted." And she was like, "Yeah, and that's cool." Because think about it, you're unpacking a lot of shit.
No, yeah, and it feels like it's a dump on them, but it's not a dump. They're supposed to be taking it in, analyzing, and
Right.
seeing what's going on. And then you have
Mhm.
like your next tier person, which is a psychiatrist. A
Trust, right.
psychiatrist first intake with you is an hour. That it is
Mm-hmm.
an hour. They get your notes from your therapist. They
Right.
look over these notes, they see what diagnoses have been presented to you and what they feel like medication should or should not work. The psychiatrist, yes, will then ask you, like, have you tried this? Have you tried that? What you go, blah, 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 blah. They will
Mm-hmm.
get a deeper dive in conversation with you. They will more than likely give you medication that day, or they'll
Mm-hmm.
give you a trial medication. And then
Mm-hmm.
you'll see them within a week because they want to see
Mm-hmm.
how that works for you within that week. After
Mm-hmm.
that week, you see them again and they say, "Oh, the medication's working for you. Is it good? Is it this? Is it that?" If everything checks A-okay, I'll see you next month. And
Right.
now you're on a monthly schedule because a psychiatrist is what is it called? Medication, it's medication something. I forget what the word is called, but like they're just basically watching your medication. It's medication
Yeah.
management. They're medication management. That's
Because they
all
need,
a
because you
psychiatrist
need,
is.
yeah, because typically when you're feeling, when you've already dealt with a psychologist and you're been given resources and tools and you still aren't able, there's a chemical imbalance.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's oftentimes a chemical imbalance that we ignore. And sometimes it can be treated naturally by the correct foods, by sleep, by diet, exercise, all those
Right.
things. But if you're doing all those things and it's still imbalanced, that's when the medication should be considered. It's not, I
Yes.
don't want to say it's still the answer,
But
because you
it's an
everything is
option.
trial and error.
It's an
Because I
option.
have a friend who was told that she was bipolar too, because there's two types of bipolar. There's one that's the neurotic kind, that you're just kind of like, oh my god, I can't, you're like,
Mhm.
you kind of go into these stakes or these moments where you're like kind of like erratic. But when you're bipolar 2, it's tied to depression.
Mhm.
But your mind is still racing, because I always have 28 tabs open in my brain. Always, I'm always thinking about 700 things. And then but I'm not aggressive. I'm not someone that kind of like goes erratic. I'm very calm and sometimes depressive. So I have a friend who was diagnosed with the same, and she was put on medication immediately. And after 30 years of taking that medication, there has been some really bad side effects. You know
Mm.
what I mean? Because a lot of people, and I don't agree anybody should be taking medication for that long, but I also think that some people fall into it because they become dependent on the meds. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So then it's like you start noticing that things are irreversible because of the meds. And it's really, and when they start doing the
Like
research and going to the
gabapentin.
doctor,
Mm.
yeah. So it's like, I never believe in relying on medication unless it literally saves you from breathing. Like I take a blood thinner, I have to take that blood thinner or I won't have a life.
Yeah.
So in those cases, but I'm still kind of apprehensive. Like I'll go to my hematologist and be like, do I need to do this twice a day? Can I go down to once a day? And she'd be like, no, Benita, relax. I get it.
Mhm.
You don't want to take these meds. But I will only stick to those. Anything else is optional and should be optional and should be
Mhm.
considered. You should consider the natural route first, because you might not even need these meds. Because let's be real, and I'm going off topic, but pharmaceuticals in the US is a business and they stay in business for a reason. So everything that you do, everything that you eat, just remember that it's connected to these medications, and
Mm.
it keeps the money going.
That's
So
why there's certain blood pressure medications that you take, you can't have grapefruit.
mhm,
It will get you sick. So, like,
my
there's just
parents are on
there's
that.
certain things that you have to kinda, like, be wary of and kinda just watch out for. So,
Right.
going back to the topic of Dr. Shane Bryant, I don't think that there's anything wrong with her calling herself a doctor if she has her PhD. If she has a
Right.
legitimate, graduated, accredited, college funded
Agreed.
degree, then she has every right to call herself Dr. Bryant because that's what she has. If Shaquille O'Neal wants to go by Dr. Shaquille O'Neal, he has every right to do so without
Mhm.
question. You know what I'm saying? So if did Christopher get his doctorate or did he get his master's?
I think he
In
got his master's.
his master's in like
Yeah.
performance arts and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
he
And
like
visual
so
and performing
he
arts.
can't have a title, but like he say he has his master's in like this
He
performance.
has he has a postfix, like he can put some letters behind his name. You
Right.
know what
So
I'm
that's what I'm
saying?
saying. So it's just one of those things where I don't like when people try to strip a person of their title because they don't agree with what they are saying or how it's
Right.
being brought out. If that girl has it and if she's just not saying it just to be a dick about it, then yeah, just do it just to be a dick about it. Like, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Now, is the school that she is alleging that she graduated from, or is their bursar office and their financial admissions and all this other stuff probably getting bombarded with calls and emails to clarify if she worked, if she actually graduated? More than likely, more than likely.
Absolutely.
And that's not fair.
Absolutely.
And that's not fair to them. But also, I need people to stop being so parasocial, like connected, that you think that you have the right to examine a person's life that has nothing to do with you. Like
I
if
think at the end of the day, the question at hand is really, I think what the argument is like they're questioning her education because of how unprofessional she was, right? And so I think at the end of the day, it's just a understanding of like, because some people can be book smart and some people can be people smart, and some people don't have both. You know what I'm saying?
I
And
think,
so with
yeah, but I also think on top of that, and I'm sorry, but I think when you know how to regulate yourself,
Mhm,
you're never going to look like the bad guy. So in any
that's what I'm
case that
saying.
she's ever had with any person, that person has always looked like the irate person because she knows how to regulate her emotions, and therefore
Right.
it looks like that person's just going crazy and she's just like, okay, like let's relax. The only time that we have, to my knowledge, on media that she went outside of herself, let's just say, was
Mhm.
with Torre and her
And
saying, like,
basketball
"You're not
wives.
gonna
And
speak to
basketball
me.
wives.
You're not
I
going."
saw the
Oh,
clips.
you saw a clip? Okay, so yeah.
Yeah, I
But
saw the
I mean,
clips.
basketball wives is a given. It's supposed to be that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
No, but that's what I'm saying
entertainment.
though.
That's
If you have a
entertainment part of it.
profession, if you have a profession, and this is what I love Evelyn said on, I don't really like Evelyn that much, and I don't have a right to say I don't like her because I don't know her. But
Evelyn
the way
slapping her
that she,
pussy on fucking
yeah, that was
being proud.
crazy.
That
There
shit
was
was
a crazy. But I will say that she does have a point when she says like, you know, if you know that your profession is based on word of mouth and recommendation, you shouldn't come on a show like Basketball Wives because it gets a little unruly over here. Like a show
right,
for her would be like Housewives of something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right, right.
to be fair, like you have to choose what
Pentatonic or
your
something
environment
like
is. And
that.
that's what I'm saying. Like, just because she has the education doesn't mean she doesn't know what she's doing. But
Oh, for sure.
it ends up coming up to the point of like, would you use her? Would you be her client? No, then move on.
That's
Like
and that's
maybe
what it
not.
is. Some people don't know, and that's why I'm saying like people's parasocial like connections with people is getting
Yeah.
so overly entangled and wound up, it's becoming scary. Because it's like I don't think I'm a big figure online, right? But somebody who
Mhm.
looks and sees my videos or whatever could look at me in that way, right? And because of like
Mhm.
whatever I post, whatever I say, and yada yada yada, they can feel like that they have some built-in relationship with me, and
Right.
therefore can speak on me or speak over me because of this connection that
Right.
they feel that they have. That's why when some people say online to me like, "Oh my gosh, like, girl, we would literally be best friends." I'm like, "Oh my goodness, we would be such good friends. Oh, I would love to come hang out with you," or something like that. I typically don't feed into it. I just be like, "Oh yeah, oh my goodness, that'd be so fun," or blah blah blah. I don't really get into the nitty-gritty with it because to me, one, you haven't connected with me in any form for that to be an
Mhm.
agreement. Two, I never
Mhm.
want to feed anybody a fake relationship that does not exist. I've never been that person. If me and you do not talk, this is a perfect example.
We cool.
There's a
Yeah.
girl that and I don't care. There's a girl I went to church with, right?
Mhm.
She was okay as a person to have as a person in church. You get what I'm saying?
Right, right, right.
Not an outside person, not a this person, just a, "Oh, I see you in church. We're around the same age. Like, hey, how you do?" And I go about my business. I was never
Cool. Yeah.
a staying in there, getting this person's business, talk to this person, tell them all my business to this person. I was never that person in church. It's never been
Right.
my thing, right? And we've grown up in the church together, like literally grown up in the church together. So we know each other, but you don't know me and I don't know you, but we
Right.
know of each other. And so whenever we do see each other, like at one time when I was going back and forth to school and I was commuting, she would see me sometimes, like on the bus and stuff. And we would sit together and talk
Mhm.
and chit chat and how you doing and blah 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 blah, whatever. But like once again, very surface level, like nothing too deep because when you know some people, you know how some people are, right?
Right. Right.
And so some way, somehow this girl has found me on Snapchat. I don't know
Oh.
how. I think because she has always been like, "Oh, what's your number? What's your number? What's your number?" My phone number has never changed. What the number that I have is the first phone number I've ever gotten, and it's always been that since 8th grade.
Mm,
That's it, right?
okay.
And so, if anybody wanted to
You
find
had
me,
a phone in 8th grade? Sorry, that's another topic.
yeah,
Anyway.
yeah, little girl, I almost didn't, but like I was surprised. My mother said, "Do you want a phone?" I was like, "Yeah,
What? Yeah.
yeah, okay." So, like so there's that. But
Yeah.
it's like she added me on Snap. I didn't know she added me on Snap. Whatever, I don't care. You're outside the club. And that's why I tell people you are outside the club. Snapchat is literally, I believe Snapchat is the only private social media application that we have right now. And when I say private, I'm saying it loosely, but I'm saying it's the only app that we have that I can monitor who sees what. I
What?
can
Yeah,
have 4 or
absolutely.
5 different private stories and only 2 people are each private story. Or I can have this or I can have that and I can see who sees it and I know that they've seen it. I like that's unless there's another person with you and they're looking at my shit with you, which is crazy, but still I know that you have it, right?
Yeah,
So
that makes
that's
sense.
this is the only app that you're able to control what people see and how people see. That's why I tell people, well, if you want to come over my Snapchat world, I'm telling you right now, it gets overly bonkers in that bitch. It's way
Yeah.
more than you would ever think that happens on TikTok. It's very intrusive. It's very invasive. It's like it's wild. Okay.
Right.
So I posted a workout picture. I was at the gym and I was like, let me just post it publicly to give the people outside the club a little something, little entertainment. I got to entertain my people from afar. So let me give the outside club people like a little something to look at.
Yeah.
And I didn't know she wrote something to me until I went and double checked. And she was just like, oh, we should go to the gym together. We do not talk. We do not communicate. We don't speak sped a word in the thick of Nathaniel to each other. There has never been a time where I've willingly went out my way and said, you know what I do? I feel like calling that girl from church today. There's
Right.
never been a time in my life that I've ever wanted to reach out to her about anything. And I'm not saying it negatively. I literally just never had the want or desire. It's never
Yeah.
been a thing. But for her, on her side of the world, we might be 2 cool peas in the pod. We might be
Yeah.
two
She
slices off the
believes.
same pie.
She
You
believes
know
that
what
y'all
I'm
make sense together.
saying?
Yeah.
Like we good. To me, who is existing in the realism of it all, is like, I don't even know nothing about you. I don't even
Right.
know what you got going on. I don't even
But
know.
even then, and I don't have an interest, because if I had an interest, I would have pursued you.
Right. Right.
So it's like,
Right.
and it's no love lost. It's no hard feelings, none of that. It's just the reality of the situation.
Yes. Like I told people, I removed so many people off my Snapchat, not because I had a beef with you. You don't even use it. So why do I even have you here as an option to see anything? You
Right.
literally aren't on here. I haven't talked to you in 8 years. What's the reason for you being here? No beef, no issue, no problem. We just have no connection. Why am
Right.
I going to keep you somewhere where I allow my overly ADHD induce intrusive thoughts go wild when we don't even have that, whatever? Because the person
Right.
who I talk to on the daily will see a snap and be like, Candace.
Yeah,
But the person
Candace.
who I don't talk to or I haven't talked to in 6 years goes like, what the fuck is going on here?
Right.
So it's two whole different things. So that's what I'm saying. Like, she's not going to speak over you. She's not going to diagnose you. She's not going to whatever, whatever. So your need to expose the fact that she doesn't have credentials is unnecessary. It's
Unnecessary.
it's not deep. If this is a person that has seen her in the past and thought she was an
Mhm.
actual licensed therapist, yes, they have the right to call the board and to find out if she's actually a licensed therapist because she spoke over me, she's diagnosed me, and I went to go see a psychiatrist because of her, and da 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 da. And I've been taking these medications. Was I wrongfully done? That makes sense. But if that is not you, then you should not have the overly deep interest for real, on
Yep.
figuring out if this girl is real about her shit. Because like last year, I think, or year beforehand, There was a Black woman who was a licensed therapist, and
Oh.
she came on TikTok and she
Mm-hmm.
said, you know, what I tell my Black men, my Black clients, or is like, you need to tell your friends they need to get into therapy. You need whatever. She was like, I'm going to tell y'all Black men as just an overcast. Y'all need to work on this, because the Black women who come and see me, who date Black men, are telling me this is the issue. These are the main things. I mean, she's just
Mm-hmm.
saying general statements from what she's getting generally from her clients.
Mm.
Those men were so pissed off,
Mm.
and whatever pick me bitches alongside was so mad at the things that this woman was saying in general,
Mm.
an overcast. So that means if it ain't got shit to do with you, keep it moving, you know?
If you're feeling triggered, then you definitely are a part
And
of the
you definitely
problem.
right. And got that woman reported to the board, and I believe she lost her license because you
No.
make too much noise, and
Mm-hmm.
the board looks at you and go, "You're trouble because you're
Mm-hmm.
making too much noise. So now we have to take care of that."
But at the same time, she has a responsibility because let's be real. You've been in lives or you've seen lives happening
Mhm.
where we're talking in generalities.
Right.
There is a reason, just like there's a reason for stereotypes, there's a reason for generalities in most cases. Like if they say, majority of these affinity group people do this,
Mhm.
that's because generally speaking, that is the statistic.
Right.
But the problem is people are in denial of what they really contribute to whatever relationship they're in or whatever problem they're in.
Right.
So when you are attacking them, it's not even an attack, it's just a mirror, right?
Right.
That offends them because they are projecting now onto you. And
Mhm.
so her responsibility is to understand that no group is going to receive that. If I spoke like this in a live right now and I took the side of somebody because I can see their perspective, but then I can also take the side of somebody else, the way that they will call me a pick me or a
Right.
bully or whatever, like I will get a title out of that because I have done enough work to understand both sides of the spectrum. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And
Mhm.
fully, I don't understand. I can only relate to, I can also understand when people are projecting their personal experience. So if I would have seen that live and she's like, majority of my clients are saying this, so I'm going to try to put this out there so people can see it. I would 100% receive it as, oh, I used to be one of those girls that dated a guy like that. So I can understand why she's
Mhm.
doing that. But, oh, that's not me anymore. So this live doesn't pertain to me anymore. I'm going to leave.
Right. And that's the same thing that I do with people who pray for you online. When I tell you I despise that I'm scrolling, I see if you're seeing this, God wants you to hear this. First of all, you don't
Me
know
too.
what
I get
God
so
wanted me to
triggered.
hear. You don't know what he wanted me to hear today. Maybe he didn't have a message for me today.
Exactly.
Who sent
First of
you?
all,
Who told you, Joseph? Who
oh,
told you
I'm
to
just
pick
now
up
seeing
the
the
phone
comments.
screen?
J Miz, thank you for the
Like,
comments.
who
Sorry, go
told
ahead.
you that today was the day I needed to hear something?
Right. I
Like,
didn't, you don't
like
know what kind
I
of
don't even
conversation
ask.
I've
I'm
been
not even,
having with
I'm
God.
not even passing. Like, why did he just come to me as a source? Like, what are we talking about right now? Like, like I despise those so bad. The reason being is because, as y'all know, like my mother's a reverend. Okay, I was raised Kojic. I was raised deep in church. Okay,
Me
so
too.
I know the rules and the ain'ts and the it's and the buts and the buts. And what I have been taught very young is somebody if you know the person or whatever may have you, and this person wants to pray over you, that or pray with you, okay, cool. Sometimes some people don't need to also,
Right.
but cool. But I don't know you from a hole in the wall, nor do I know what your sources are.
Are.
So I am not going to now sit here for 15 to 30 seconds for you to pray something or prophesy something over me via the internet. And I don't know what your background thoughts are while you're doing it. I'm not doing that. I'm
No.
not. And I feel like people do that for the guiltness of it all. It's like if you scrolled by it, once it said God and someone's praying for you, you almost, it's like that church guilt that, like, oh my God, I skipped by something that said something about Jesus and God, and I feel bad. I should go back and watch it. Sometimes, just sometimes, I'll go back and watch like a sermon if it sounds like it's pretty good, but I'm like, I don't really want to hear it right now. But I'm like, let me just hear what this person is saying. And as soon as it starts hearing it sounding a little, then I'll keep it moving. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But I
Yeah.
despise those people who do that, because no matter what, I didn't ask this of you, and I don't know who your messenger is, because guess what? Even the devil knew the word. So I
Mhm.
don't know what you got going on. Like, I remember one time I got hospitalized for the night, and my mother came and she
For
flew and blah
what?
blah blah, because I was having like really bad heart flutters. Like, it almost felt like I probably wasn't. It didn't probably feel like I was having a heart attack, but it was very heart related, very heart
Yeah.
related. And so I stayed the night. My mom was working as a consultant in DC, so she had to fly, whatever. So she's there the next morning, and we're sitting there, and the whatever they call the people who work in the chapel at the hospitals, right? The
Oh,
missionary, is it called? Is it? I forgot. Chaplain, the chaplain,
the
and so
chaplains.
and so she's going door to door as she should, and she's like, nice little white lady, you know. And she comes in and she's like, I just wanted to know if you guys wanted to, if you wanted some prayer, some kind words, and which I do appreciate. She's a prayer or kind words, or something like that.
I'll take the kind words. Yeah.
Right. I looked at her, I said, oh no, we're all set. My mother goes, oh no, we of course, like, we are a praying family, you don't turn down no prayer and whatever, right? Because that's the reverend in her, right? She goes immediately into church mode, right? All right,
Yeah.
cool. I said, I bet. She leaves the room. I looked at her and I said, were you not the same person who taught me to not let just anyone pray over you? And she's like, yeah. I said, okay, so then why, when I said, no, we're cool, did you proceed to say, oh, yeah, we take prayer? She goes, Ken, she's a child. I said, I don't care. So you don't know those twisted deacons? Like, I
And
feel like,
twisted priests and twisted pastors.
like, you know what I'm saying? And so she goes, you know what, baby? You're right. Like, it's like the moment you had to like step back, and because it's one of those things of like, I don't know what your intentions are behind me. I don't know whatever. Like, I am not the most holiest of thou of Christian that is
Uh-huh.
walking the
Uh-huh.
earth right now. But I
Uh-huh.
do know that my friends know that God is the head of my life, that I hold that at a very high standard, and
Right.
that if I or they and say, pray for me or pray over me or pray with me, that they know that there is true intention behind those words and behind that prayer or whatever, because they know,
Right.
I can talk about all the secular and sexual things in the world and blah, 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 but they know once it crosses over into the holiness, I don't play that. So it's
Yeah.
like, it's one of those things it's a precedent. It's already set for you.
Yeah.
It's been set in front of you,
Yeah.
So it's just
Yeah.
one of those things where you have to you have to be, have discernment over yourself and what's good and what's not. Now, having discernment over yourself doesn't mean that you went to go see Sinners and you felt corrupted and that you need to leave the movie theater because the corruption of the whole movie, like that right there, that pit. Because here's my we have people who believe, and I get it, because my mom was like that. She was like, I'm not seeing no vampire movie and stuff.
Yeah.
They loved watching Blade. That's besides the point. But
Well, it's because she was attracted. She was attracted. What was his name in Blade?
oh my gosh.
What
Who?
was it? What was Blade's name?
Um,
God, that man is fine.
what's his name? Starts with a W.
Oh my gosh, this is gonna
I
bother me. Hold
can't
on.
think of his name.
Let
I
me look
can't
it
think
up.
of his name. I know it
Blade
too.
Jones.
But
But that's
like,
why she watched it. It was Wesley Snipes.
Wesley
Duh.
Snipes. But yeah, but here's my
Um.
thing. Yeah, but here's my thing with that too, right? Obviously, times change. You kind of grow up in your convictions. You know what's good for you and what's not. I never
Yeah.
blame anybody who says, I just don't feel comfortable watching it. And that's
Yeah.
okay. But for you to come on TikTok and make what's the word? Dissertations about,
Dissertation.
I hate these teeth so bad I can't talk. Dissertations about the movie that you have yet to see
Right. Right.
and
Right.
that
Right.
you
Right.
have no rhetoric or understanding about it. All you saw is a trailer, is two Michael B. Jordans walking in red and blue suits, and then you saw two
saying that they
out,
cousins.
and you saw a white man, and then you saw a guitar in a church, and you said, "Hold up,
The
this
devil is here.
the devil is in this movie.
I repent.
I cannot. The devil is in here." Okay. Little do you know, the movie was 5% about the fucking vampires.
Girl.
Even if the
And
movie,
this is my thing because people had told I have actually one friend. Thank you, Mr. Smellgood, or hello, Mr. Smellgood, and thank you, Ms. because he said Wesley Snipes in the comments. Sorry, I have a bad habit of reading the comments. This is my
no, you're
problem.
fine. Do your
But
thing.
I completely agree with you because I had a good friend that told me because I was like, "Is it a horror film?" Like, I can't do psychological horror. I can still watch it, but it'll get to me at some point.
Oh,
I'll have to
like the what's that?
like
Poltergeist? The
JP put
Poltergeist?
me on a
No,
show.
I ain't watching that shit. I ain't watching
Which
the
one?
Poltergeist. The Poltergeist? Hell no.
Yeah,
Fuck that.
yeah, I'm not watching that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
watch the movie Hereditary. JP
Oh
did.
no, never will touch that.
Never
Never
will
will
touch
touch
it.
that.
Then there's a show that JP put me on when he was in Houston, and we watched it together. It was called Them.
Oh yes, Key Peel, Key
Yes,
Peel. Yeah, yeah, right.
Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele. Yeah,
So his movies are phenomenal. I will always watch his movies because he's like M. Night Shyamalan, where they have double meanings and triple meanings, and
right.
you have to really pay attention. But I'm not going to lie to you, by the end of that show, I was unwell. Like, I'm kind of glad that I wasn't alone because I don't think I would have been able to continue sleeping alone. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mhm.
it was very scary for me because I start to get in my head. I start to now psychoanalyze a lot of shit. So I stay away from those types of films. But when they were telling me about Sinners, he just kept emphasizing how this was more about history. This had a lot of deep meanings. This had an Irish section to it. This had a Chinese section to it, and like understanding the power of that scene where when Stack and Smoke went to go get a sign for their jukebox, right?
Right.
And you see the distinction of where the dad worked on the black side of the street and the
Yep.
mom worked on the white side. Like, there's so much depth to everything that was portrayed in that movie. My favorite scene was the dance scene when you saw all the generations come together. And when I tell you I cried the first time I saw that because it was so powerful, and it has nothing to do with my culture, but it was still like a lot of American history that wasn't
Mhm.
taught to us. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? And you
Mhm.
could see it being displayed right there. It was emotional. I watched that movie 3 times because I felt like the more I watch it, the more I'm going to see something else that I missed.
Yeah.
And so when people just see the trailer has to show the clickbait things, you know what I'm
Right.
saying, to get
Right.
you attached.
Right.
And the unfortunate thing with that is people are going to see vampires and gore and they're going to be like, yeah, it's not for me.
And it was like I said, it was such a very, very, very small percent
Mm.
of the movie. Like you
Mhm.
have
Even the
right.
gore was only towards the end.
Right, you have the opening of the movie of this boy so early in the morning picking, you know what I'm saying, cotton in the fields
Yeah.
and stuff, just to be able to say he had his bag already filled and doubled and whatever like that, to then go to the small shack that he shared with his 5, 6 siblings and with his parents, and then his father is the one pastoral of the house, and then like using God as an intimidator instead as
Right.
like as a life lesson and a guidance,
Right. Right.
and then going to hang out with your cousins and your family, and you see them again, and it's feel good to go into. Now we see Mary, and then we see Annie, and seeing the hardship and pain of them losing the baby, and then Mary and Stack,
Stack.
losing that love between each other. But like it's also deal in racism, and like we couldn't be together. That's why I sent you to go be with that white man on that farm, so we both could be safe with each other. And then I even found out like it's like deeper time frames than what I thought it was, because when they had both separated and moved. So Smoke stayed there. Stack and Mary left and
Yeah.
went to Arizona. So they had Smoke and Stack was separated for years.
Years.
Years they were separated.
Years.
And then I think Stack got worried that somebody was looking at him and Mary, and then that's when he said, "You need to go live with this white man on the farm. I need to go back home and get my brother."
Yeah.
And that was the same time that Annie and Smoke lost the baby, And so Smoke was like, I need you to come home. He came home. And then they said, let's go up north to Chicago and see what it's hitting for. Well, we got to go to the military. Went to the military, then went to Chicago, and then came back with all the stolen goods. Like they ran game on the Irish and the Italians, right? So it's like one of those things where they did live separate lives from each other. They weren't always tied in together,
together.
you
And
know?
that's why they needed each other, because from the army, from the military, Smoke had a
The
tremor in
tremor.
his hand, so he
Mhm.
could never, like, there were so many things about this show, like especially when you think about, they were free, but they weren't really free from the
Right.
racism, and
Especially when
people.
you watch Delta Slim's soliloquy
Yes.
talking about his friend getting noosed and that pain and that like that thing. And what I loved about watching that is in the scene, I always forget the actor's real name, but Delta, like in the interview, was saying they had ran that car scene multiple times because it's a long monologue,
Yeah.
and they're supposed to just drive to a certain point and then drive back up and come down and do the monologue again. And he said on the last time that they did it, he was about to reach a point and Michael just kept driving. He said, well, let's just keep going. Let's just keep driving. Let's stay in that. And he just, everything in that scene was authentic. Everything in that scene was not pre programmed. Like
Nope.
when he starts having that hum session, that was authentic because he's just like feeling what he's saying.
Yeah.
Michael noticing that he's humming and he's like, okay, how can I set this scene up? Telling, church boys
Damn.
like, now play the guitar. Like play. And mind you, that boy didn't know how to play a guitar before he started this role.
He never sang like that before either. Like he literally did everything. He never acted before. He sang, but he never acted and
That's
sang
his
and
mom
played the
singing.
guitar. He
Yeah,
literally learned all of that on the spot. That is talent. That
that's
is
talent.
sheer
Right. And
talent.
it's brought down. His mom, I think his mom and his dad are musicians
Hmm.
in some form. So it's
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
like,
Hmm.
but it's like there's no nepotism to it. Like my boy still had to get it
He still
in.
had to go that
Like
way.
you know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah, yeah.
saying? So it's just like with that movie, what I truly do appreciate is that it showed you authentically what it was like in those times with what all was happening with the racism, with the Ku Klux Klan having that basically skinning, bleeding farm that they were going to kill them in and stuff like that. Like all these things that you never considered. Like even Mary being, the 1/8 that 1/4 that she
That she
got going on.
was. Yeah.
Like it's
It can even be
her.
relatable to those mixed people who never felt a sense of belonging because they were outcasted by both groups. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
But it also is for those mixed people who align themselves with white people thinking because I look it, I can play the part of it.
Right.
And that shows right there the trouble that started that night. Had Mary not went outside,
She
right?
would have
None of this
never. Yep.
would have happened. But because she says my whiteness, okay, or likeness of it, could pull possible trust for them. So I'm
Yeah.
going to use that. And it's like when you think like that, that's when it comes an issue. That's when it becomes a problem. That's why people do not like when black people want to tap and dance and do all this other shit for white people because you thinking that it's making you safe when you become the Carlton of the world, you think because you are in somewhat comparison and likeness on how they are that they look at you as if the same level. But just like Kanye said, it doesn't matter if you got a Bentley. To them, you are still a nigga in the coop.
And
You
that's
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 it.
literally what I was like when she walked out there, when she tried to convince Stack that, like, let me just build some trust. I can use my white privilege to get us there.
Yeah.
I was like, this is such a bad idea because number
Ambiguous.
one,
There you go. I couldn't think of the word ambiguous. She looks ambiguous.
ambiguous.
Yeah.
Um, my thing is this, like, I feel as though she was a very emotional character to begin with.
Right.
She's never been seen in that movie as a leader of any sort. She always kind of was like the emotional person. So when she had that idea, I was like, maybe this is her chance to lead. You know what I'm saying? But I looked at it as there's three against one. These three guys, these three people, including that woman, definitely want something from everybody in this jukebox. And you going by yourself without a person, because she trusted them so quickly because they tapped into her emotional side by saying, you are experiencing pain because your mother passed. Oh my God, my mother passed. That is the pain that I'm experiencing. I was like, oh no, this is where your downfall, because you're way too emotionally invested in anything that you do. Whereas if she would have went out there with Stack, yes, they probably would have been on edge because they would have known she was smart enough not to come by herself. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? But she really had nobody she could have done that with, because as soon as they saw a black person with her, they wouldn't have been as
Right.
they wouldn't have tried. Maybe they would have. I don't know. But when I was watching that, I was like, see, these are people that think they can use their white privilege, but still don't have the skill set to do so. You know what I'm saying? Like, she got swiped so freaking easily by
Mhm.
just him tapping into her emotions. And I was like, we have got to be stronger than this. Like, we have got to be stronger than this,
But
because
even
it takes away discernment.
but even when you look at the difference between Smoke and Stack, right?
Hmm.
It Smoke being the older twin, protective of, Stack and all what he had to do, killing their father and taking
Hmm.
care of him in multiple different ways, right?
Hmm.
And then even the different gangs that they ran with, right?
Hmm.
The Irish were more collected,
Hmm.
more smooth, less flashy, very,
Right, right, right.
whatever. The Italians, big, this, that, and the third, flashy, rings, chains, whatever.
Right.
In the moment where they're at the door and Remsen's like standing there and he's singing the song, whatever, and Stack is like, okay, yeah, all right, cool, blah, 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 because it's that theatrical. It's that
Right.
theatrics that he's like. He's like, oh, okay, you want to show off, you want to blah, 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 blah. And it's just like Smoke kind of like just studying and seeing like, nah, something ain't cooking right in this pot. I
Yep.
don't, I don't like that,
I don't like it. Yeah.
I don't like it at all. So it's just one of those things where like I feel like the parallel between the two is should the movie needs to be studied over and over and over again. I'm so glad
Agreed.
that this award season, that at least each award show, I believe somebody went home with something from Sinners. I believe.
Yeah.
And that's what should happen, not because a bunch of black people are saying this is a really great movie and we didn't watch any other movie, therefore those movies suck. No, it's just the mere fact that there's movies that are made and there are movies that change how you see and scope things. That's why 12 Years a Slave went home
Mm.
with almost every fucking award that you could
Award.
think of, because it wasn't just about slavery. It was, you really are watching the transformation of a person who was a slave, got freed, and some way somehow got ran right back into slavery,
Right. 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 Right.
away
Right.
from his free family and all these other things. Like, you know what I'm saying? And the things that people had to go through. And I hate
Hmm.
when people say, I'm so tired of slavery movies. I'm so tired of seeing these type of movies. I'm so tired. And it's just like, you're the people who is going to get us washed away. You're the
Yeah,
people
I agree.
our history washed away, because guess what? I don't want them to ever stop making the movies. Keep putting it in your face. Keep making you known that this shit happens. I want to give if they made 45 different versions of Anne Frank movies, which I have at this point, I wouldn't care if they put out another movie.
I agree.
They've made so many fucking movies about the genocide that happened to the Jewish people during Hitler's reign. They've made the boys striped pajamas, Anne Frank's
Oh
diary,
God, I've seen that one. Yeah.
Auschwitz. They've
Yeah.
made so many movies. I have yet to hear a Jewish person say, I can't wait till they stop making movies about what happened to us.
That's
You
why their
don't
whole
hear
slogan
it.
is never again. You know what I'm saying?
You don't
Because
hear it because it's they know it has to be put out there. But
yeah.
also, Jewish people got their reparations. They got their apologies, they got their tokens, they got their this, they got their that, they got their foundation, they got their land, they got things happen to them. Black people did not get none of that. So I don't
And
give a
you know what really grinds my gears? Because this is why you shouldn't put me on a podcast of any sort. Because They got their reparations. They got 1,000 movies made by them. They get a lot of money from us. And look at what they're doing. Look at what they're doing.
Right.
And it's like they can't even empathize that they were doing exactly what has been done to them.
To them. Right.
And then they're given money and given reparations and given tools and resources to continue to do that because what they say is Bible. This is why it's like the way that this is so twisted. And I agree with you on like there shouldn't be a problem with making that many movies about Black history. You know why? Because you still don't know that perspective. You might know what happened as a whole. But like I remember in 2020 when the George Floyd thing happened, and this might be something that people might laugh at me for not knowing, but remember, I didn't do most of my education here. I
Mm-hmm.
came here as a 15-year-old, so history was not that big of a deal when I came here,
Mm-hmm.
right? We learned about American history, but it was sugar-coated. They didn't go into all the troubles that Americans did. It was all the victories that we won, right? So when I learned in 2020, there was a post about how the in-house slaves were forced to breastfeed the master's babies
Mm-hmm.
and not their own.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking, holy shit, there's so much we don't know. Because there's a lot of Indian history when we were under the regime of the British for 200 years. 200 years. That's a lot of years for us to just glaze it over and be like, "Oh well, it's over." And then to find out that Mahatma Gandhi contributed to that for his benefit
Mm-hmm.
and how Mother Teresa contributed to the mistreatment of poor Indian people, like it be your own people that be betraying. I mean, Mother Teresa wasn't Indian, but Gandhi was. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So it's like I want more movies and more knowledge and more history of all of the oppressed
Right.
people
And you know what's
because you
crazy?
truly don't know everything.
I only literally in life have seen a movie about the trains. That's the I have only seen a movie about the whole like when everybody had to go on a train, like trains to like go to another place, like during the British regime, like everybody was taking trains to like
Yes.
go to whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I've only seen a movie, and the movie was Jesus, what was it? It was a I think it was about a girl, and she kept oh, you know what it was? You know what the fucking movie was? It was a Marvel movie, bitch. It was Kamala. It was Kamala. Now that I think about it, it was Kamala. That's what the movie was.
Oh,
That is the movie. That's the
wow.
only time I ever seen anything about that. Was that was the first time when she came out when it's because it's news. She's not Miss Marvel. I think she is Miss Marvel. But when that movie came out, that was the first time I ever seen anything about the trains. Like that's the first time. I never knew anything of it. I never knew what happened. I never obviously like the little, whatever,
Yeah.
social studies,
Yeah.
whatever. But I never knew what it was. And when she was talking about the bracelets and stuff, and then she had to go into the past and see what happened, and you're seeing all these people being crammed into these trains to try to make it over and stuff like that. And then
Mhm.
and then it was because of course they made it cute. Like, oh, this is from your great grandmother who had these
Yeah.
bracelets.
Yeah.
Blah, blah. Of course, they made it cute, and her running into her great great grandmother, and whatever may have you, and getting all that, and finding out where the train was going, and stopping it from crashing or whatever. But it
Right.
was just one of those things where I was like, oh wow, that shit's crazy. It wasn't until after that movie that I seen another movie about the trains, and the woman had like died on it, whatever, because she got suffocated because so many fucking people was on it. And I think there was like another time where it was like, well, a boy was looking for his brother, and
Yeah. Namesake.
he got separated from his brother, and he couldn't. And that's all he remembered is his brother. He couldn't remember his mom's face. He couldn't remember nothing. He just remembered his brother. That's all he remembered. He got separated at the train tracks or something like that. So
Yeah.
it's
That
like
was Namesake. Yeah.
they'll say, so you see, the movie I'm talking about with like, with E. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, that's crazy that in my 31 is the first time I'm really seeing stuff like that. I'm glad that they put that in that Marvel movie because it probably opened a lot of people's eyes who probably just haven't invested time in looking into it, knowing about it, seeing how bad it was. Yes, of course, they made it cuter than what actually happened, obviously, but it
The
just gave you the perspective of like, wow, I don't really know much about this particular part in the world and this particular history. Like, like you said, everyone should always keep making the fucking movies, bro.
No, I agree because the argument right now is that Jesus is not Middle Eastern, and unfortunately,
Of Nazareth,
they're saying he's not Middle Eastern. And people, when I would post it, people would challenge me. Oh, so he's Palestinian, and I'm like, do you know how to look at a map?
Jesus of Nazareth. I just want to make sure it wasn't Jesus of like Oklahoma. It was Jesus of
Right, right, right,
Nazareth.
right. And
It's like
that was my
that's what I'm
argument.
not
I'm like,
understanding. Like it's of like
exactly. And so this is the part that I'm just like, y'all have really got me twisted the F up because you really think, and don't get me wrong, there are Middle Easterners and there are Hispanics and there are Indians that, depending on the region that they're from, depending on their lineage, can be white passing. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to think that that's the case, that if they're white passing, then they're just white. But that doesn't mean that they're not Middle Eastern. That doesn't mean that they're not Hispanic. That doesn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, please use some sort of brain power. Like, and understand that when I'm posting, like, you guys are literally creating a genocide, having a genocide in a country where, and then you're preaching about God. What? Preaching about Jesus. What are we doing?
focusing on? What are we doing right here? Well,
What
also
are we doing?
what also pisses me off is I don't like how, and this may come off very offensive, and if it does, it does, because in my head, if it's a continent and there's a name of this continent and it describes all the people in this continent, then that's what you are within that continent.
And then people don't understand even deeper than that. What happened to the Jews was terrible. And I will never say that they deserve that. But they did move and find a location
They
and
moved on.
ask, and they went to a land that was already established and said, we're going to live here now.
Right,
And then they controlled the people of that land.
right.
And so when they're saying they deserve this, they're evil, they're that, I'm like, you went into that. It's just like how America was founded.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't founded, it was stolen. What
Right.
are we talking about?
It
Like,
was that's why I don't understand when people say like I don't like the fact that America is used as a sanctuary for other countries, and I'm like, that's literally the start of America. You came here as the pilgrims came here as a sanctuary to get away from King Henry's regime. Like that literally is the start of
and low key,
America. Like what are you
this is
what are
what
you
kills me.
actually talking about?
This is what kills me. Christopher Columbus was not looking for America.
He was
Christopher
looking
Columbus
for
was looking
India. My man,
to steal our wealth.
this is crazy to me. My man said, if we look at the map, right? We have North America, South America, we have Africa, we have Europe, we have Asia, right? And then Australia is randomly down here somewhere. We don't know why the fuck Australia is down there, right? So if we have a map, there is no way you're telling me, and I understand they don't know nothing, they don't know no guidance.
Right.
If Spain is here, because that was the route of the travel, because Christopher Columbus was from Spain. Okay. If Spain is here and India, because you guys are looking at my map backwards, okay? And India is over here, right?
So if you need to look at it forwards, it's this way.
Okay, right. You're telling me that you went, instead of curving a hard behind C, okay? Even if he ended up in Cape Town in South Africa, that would have made more sense. That would have made more sense.
Right. Because you're at least going in the right direction.
I'm going to just go straight.
Right. Of course. Completely off course. Just
you didn't even go down into the Mediterranean or nothing. You didn't even skate down in here You said straight to the left.
And
We're
then you
going to
called the
left.
people, the indigenous people there, Indians.
We're going to the left.
No,
That's
but
what
this is
y'all
what
did.
Kenny. But then they went there. They had their own tribal names. They had their own community that they
They were
built, and
like,
they said, "You're Indians." I went to go find Indians. I didn't find them, so you're going to be the new Indians.
you're Indians. I just don't know what's going on here. Now, sometimes I think, what if he went a little bit more north? What if Christopher Columbus went to Canada?
No, but that's what. Okay, no, but here's the argument. New Zealand, Australia, and Canada all have the same storyline because they were all filled with indigenous people,
Right.
and they got colonized by the mountains of Caucasus.
Right. But this is my issue with Christopher Columbus sailing the ocean blue in 1942. Not 1942. What is it? What is it? 17?
19.
No, it's not
Oh
19.
no, was it not 19? Duh, 17.
1742?
Is it 42?
Is it 42? It's something too. In 17 in 16. It's 16. I think it is. It's 1642. Isn't it 16? Because it can't be 1742 because 1776 was America coming together. I don't
Let me
know.
look. Let me
Maybe
look. Let me look. Let me
1742?
look.
That makes sense.
No, because he when did he die?
When did
He died. He died in 1506. So there's no
what
way.
is it? 14? What is it? 50?
Let me
That's
see. Let
too
me
fast
see.
song. When he in something too.
They
It's
keep
something
giving me his reign. It's something too, yes, because that
yeah.
was a song, but I don't remember.
And
19. It was 1492.
14. That's why I kept getting. That's why I said 1942.
Dyslexic.
Like
Yeah. It's
yeah,
1492.
1492. So when he
He a
brought
ugly motherfucker.
yeah,
Anyway.
right. When he brought his ass over, right? Okay, cool. Right.
Okay,
And
cool,
you
cool,
get
cool,
here
cool.
and you see the people. This is where my brain kind of like to get us to 50 states, right? Hawaii was the last one. It was like 1960 something. That motherfucker became a state. That's crazy,
Crazy.
right? So if you come here and you see whatever, the amount of land purchasing, buying, and selling that happened in North America was absolutely out fucking rageous. Because how in the frizzin' and Fran are you telling me, oh, this is the Louisiana Purchase? Bitch, what? How did you buy a whole territory of it when somebody was living there? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Then it wasn't just America. You had Spain over in this nigga too. Like, you had Spain colonies in America. So it's like
Los Angeles.
you
Like,
didn't have like it was just the British. Like you had the British had territory, the Pilgrims had territory, and then the Spanish people had territory. And I'm like, how did we all get here? First of all, how did we all get here? Because if it took you 4.5 to 8 months to sail over here, right? How did we get back on a ship? Who did we send back on a ship with the map to go back? And then when did y'all accidentally bump, fall, and skip your head into Africa and said, hold on? Some black people here.
they did that with Indians too, because like if you think about Guyanese people in Trinidad and Tobago and all of those countries and provinces, and even like I can't remember what the other name is, but they all have Indians there. They have huge Indian populations, right? But they have their own culture of Indian because
That happened in the West Indies. That's why
yes, because they were
West
they
Indies.
were taken there as slaves with
Yeah.
no instruction, no nothing, and that's what they did. What they would do is they would go to real countries, poor countries, promise them
Right.
a life. This is what people don't understand. Okay, I have to get to this point, but I
And
know
who
I'm going
got
off
Google
topic.
Translate?
What do you mean?
Bitch, please tell me how today at work. Let me give you a breakdown. Let me give you a breakdown because this is what I'm telling you. The world doesn't make sense.
Our ADHD just be flying, bitch.
I was at work today. We all know. Hablo pequeño español.
Un poquito español, sí.
So, Shorty about to come on this elevator. And I'm like, you want me to hold this door for you? And she goes, baba da boo, bada bang bang. And I said, And she's like, hablo español? And I said, poquito. Anytime I say that, they get it. And they go, let me give it to you like this in sections. Shorty said, bamba, and started going crazy.
Shut the fuck.
Shorty started going crazy on me, right? Going crazy. Now, did I have my phone on me? Yes. Yes, I did. Did my dodo self say, Candace, you have literally Google Translate ready to go on your phone for moments like this. You wait for moments like this. And then when you get in them, you get paranoid, you get anxious, and you start thinking you know how to speak Spanish fluently. Pull out the phone. I said, I got this. Shorty started going wild on me, right? And I'm looking at her because I heard what she said. I can hear it. I can hear it real good. Like, it's like I can break it down. As soon as she said, documento mi casa. Oh! Housing development. I don't care what else you got talking about. Hey, who said casa housing development? That's the floor. I was like, floor cinco, I'm dropping you off. Un problema, go to floor dos. She's like, gracias. Got off the elevator.
There we go.
Now, here's my thing, right? That's with me knowing something.
Yeah.
That's with me knowing something because I was taught, right? Right. Here's my thing. How they knew how to whatchamacallit when the whatchamacallit, because nobody knew nothing about a whatchamacallit. How did Christopher Columbus get there? He saw a Native American, indigenous person looking at him, he's looking at an indigenous person, and they just said, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Something isn't added up, and no one's gonna tell me different. There's something not adding
It's just
up.
you just take control. You just take control of it. Like,
And the
okay,
communication of things. Because you're not gonna go, oh, gun, pume. And
I pew you.
And the American was like, whoa, okay.
Because they're like, okay, there's an island, right? That no
Like,
one is there's an island that no one is allowed to go because the civilization there will not allow
them people
anyone.
fucking play. They killed that man.
That's what I'm saying. They use bow and arrows because they're real tribal
They killed that.
and shooting down planes, bitch, to where they had to leave because they were like, we not gonna make it.
They killed that man. They
So
found him in the water.
right, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if the Native Americans were like the
The
indigenous
savages that they were.
man, there's no way Christopher Columbus, because he was able to go and bring more people. You know what I'm saying?
As soon as he would have got off that boat, pew, 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 pew. Like, I mean, it would have been like 300. The movie 300 and all them arrows came down. That's exactly what it would have been.
Because what ruins anything in life? Civilizations. People
Right.
will ruin it. So the Native Americans probably, Christopher Columbus probably came up with that boat with lots of goods from Europe that they had never seen. Some sort of resource that they were like, oh, this is interesting. They come in peace. We'll invite them. And then got taken. You know what I'm saying? And this is the part that people don't understand. Like, and I'm not trying to be rah Black culture, but it is something that I'm around often. So I have to say it. It's just bothers me that like you brought a bunch of slaves from another country where they had their own tradition, their own religions, their own language, their own life, erased it from them because now you're bringing them to another country where there is nothing of that similarity there. And now they're having to create their own culture, their own type of communication skills, their own anything and everything based on the state that they're in, based on the city they live in. And then what happens? That culture runs the entire world. Do you understand? Like, I know you understand, but I'm saying like this is what people
I get completely what you're saying, because it's one of those things where what you try to put down, you what you try to destroy, it just couldn't, because no matter what,
it multiplied.
It multiplied, because you look at the dances, the music, the things that we do, and just in our daily lives that it roots directly back to motherland, and we don't even realize that that's a
Right.
thing. The bank head bounce, that is just the
From
like
Eritrea.
that's
That's what
it.
I'm
Like, you know
saying.
what I'm
Like,
saying?
and this is
Like,
the part. This
yeah,
is the part that I struggle with so much with racism. Y'all are so scared of black people and think that they're so this and so that, whatever the fuck you think. But you live off of their culture.
literally.
Even on TikTok, these white creators that are thriving and going viral are literally doing dances from black, appropriating black culture.
Well, do you remember
I
when?
even see it in my own culture. Like all of these dancers that I followed for years were very much Indian classical driven, Indian jazz driven. But then all of a sudden now you're seeing a mix of Afrobeats and hip hop in there. And I love the fusion. Don't get me wrong. I think it's catchy. I think it's beautiful. But I'm like, don't forget where the fuck you came from. Don't forget where the fuck you got this from. Like, you know, Zara Larson, a lot of people don't like her because she said that she don't support Chris Brown. Whatever. I don't give a fuck. I agree with her. Zara Larson, she did the remix with Blue Moon from with Kaylani.
Oh, with the Joy song, yes.
Joy's song, and then she also performs. She's great. And what I love about her is in her journey, she's been doing this for 10 years, right? She's had a lot of hits, but she's kind of been like one hit wonder kind of a girl until, and she's been popular in other countries. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to diminish her popularity, but just recently when she did a rebrand of her brand, like of her look and everything, she became extremely popular. I became a huge fan as well. And one thing she said in a comment, because I'm always in the comments, because she has a parasocial relationship with her fans, okay? And
Mhm.
it's kind of cute. But something said, oh, she can shake that ass. When you see her for a little girl, I mean, not a little girl, but she's a skinny woman. She can shake that ass better than most women that I've seen. I'm like, damn, like she got rhythm. You know what I mean? And she always credits black culture. She was like, where would any of us be without black culture?
Right.
Boring. And I absolutely love that about her because she knows that her popularity has gained so much traction due to her tapping into black culture. And she always has. She's had black, like, she's idolized Beyonce her whole life. So, you know, when Beyonce did her homecoming special,
Mhm.
all of those choreographers choreographed for Zara Larson as well. Like there's a lot, you could see a lot of Beyonce's choreography in her old choreography. Now she's definitely tapping in, but she definitely still always credits the black culture that she profits off of. And to me, I'm like, I can support somebody like that because you know why you're popular. You know why you've become um easy on the eye for most people because you are not appropriating, you're appreciating, but you are still using that culture. Because if she stayed with her Swedish ways and all that, she would only be popular in European countries, which she was for a really long time.
Right.
It's when she expanded. It's just like Chris Brown. His relevancy was always there. He was always talented, yes. But when he tapped into Afrobeats, when Afrobeats started getting popular,
Mm.
that really skyrocketed him more. You know what I'm saying? Everyone was like, he's gonna stay relevant because he's talented. He knows what is trending right now. What do I need to hop on? What I need to tap into? He's gonna do it. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And so this is what I'm saying. African culture is at the root of
Mhm.
everything globally.
Right.
And I'm
Literally.
like, if I see somebody saying appreciating that and understanding where they come from, I'm like, yeah, I'm all for it. Like these white people that are selling Indian clothes and naming
Oh,
it
the
balloon pants.
sorry robes, bro. I cannot. You know what I just seen? You know what I just seen? I seen one of
Hmm.
my favorite plus size girls. She's but like, you know, the way she does her clothing reviews is so cute.
Uh-huh.
She had on a, I'm only going off of the comments, an Arabic like one piece on, right?
A
And
kaftan.
I think so. It was just like it was like it wasn't a low scoop, obviously, but it was a scoop, and it basically looked like a moo but it was like a dress moo.
A kaftan. Yeah, that's
Right.
a kaftan.
And so she was saying this is really comfortable, this is very modest and stuff like that. You can wear it as a moo but like you can wear it outside. But she's like, but it also has a string inside that if you wanted to tie it around to give you a tiny bit of shape, you can do that, right? And it looks really, really
Mhm.
cute. Everybody in the comment section, this is what this is, and this is what this is. And it's just like, I don't think nobody not doesn't know that because in when you click the orange link, you can almost see like there's like a head wrapping Like they
A burqa.
cut off the person's head, which I never understood that. Like I get this is the person, but anything else that we always see a person or we see it on like a doll model. But then this is on a person or it's an AI, whoever. But then you see the wrapping is hanging below, and then you
You
see
see
that.
the
So it's like,
hijab.
so
And
it's
that might
yeah,
have something to do with her culture and her religion and whether her, you know, husband or whoever, or even her herself. It's not always the husband, but it's the religion that says like your face and your body and all your hair should be preserved for just your husband. So she might even be the one. Because in magazines,
whoever's selling it, yeah, maybe.
in Saudi Arabia, whenever we got like magazines, if they were too raunchy of a picture, like a bikini, they would rip the pages out. And if it was a woman that was showing like a low cut with cleavage, they would take a marker and black it out. That's how they would sell the magazines in the country. You know what I'm saying? So, and that is because they don't want to, their religion does not allow for lust. So, and that's also depending on how radical of or how religious you really are. You know what I'm saying? So not all
So,
Muslims are like that.
but you know, I seen one time, I don't know where it was in the Middle East, and I just was kind of like, this is crazy. But even in, I forgot where in Asia I even seen this. But you know how people like to go travel to different places and then they want to do like the expose, not exposing themselves, but like the expose of like where they are, right? The country.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't think that this girl was wearing anything overly promiscuous. I can't remember if she was wearing a skirt or not and like a spaghetti strap. I can't remember. Here it would have been regular. Like honestly, you wouldn't have even looked at her second, like you know what she was wearing.
Yeah.
I don't know where in India she was, but them motherfuckers, when I say surrounded this bitch, them men was on her ass. Like, I mean, kissing faces, grabbing at her and everything. And it's just like, that's fucking crazy, right? But
Mhm.
then you also have, I forgot where it was in Asia, but where they're saying that there is, because of the whole boys are more important than women thing, and like the time period where you couldn't have more than two children. If it was the first one was a girl, then you had to basically
Mhm.
exile her from life until you had a boy or
Mhm.
whatever. That because of the
China
population,
was really big on that.
yeah, that the population of men is so high versus to women, there's like a really high rate of rapes, like a
Mhm.
really high rate.
Mhm.
And it just bothers me when it's always a thing of what you look like, what do you have on, what you're wearing, because at the end of the day, it truly doesn't matter because I look at the religions and the races that have the whole thing covered. And then like you'll have the women who just show their eyes. It's just their eyes, literally. All black,
Mhm.
just eyes.
Mhm.
And you have like some men who, oh, it's the eyes. I gotta. She's baiting me with her eyes. Blah blah blah. And it's just like you don't even know what's going on. You don't. You truly don't even know what's happening under there. You really
Mhm.
don't. You. This could be a man. This truly could be a man underneath here.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Mhm.
And the eyes is what did it for you. Your eyes is what made you go crazy and made you blah 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 blah. And you had to get her and you had to grab her. Even the ones who do show their face, you know, and you just have a hijab on or the other garments of the
Or
other name.
burqa.
Like
Mhm.
it's just like you're not seeing nothing. Everything's flowing. There's nothing. You oh, it's just you like. So it just goes to show when women are always talking about men. They're like, why is it always men? And it's just like, guys, if a woman is completely covered up, I mean from head to toe, we're still subjugated to be looked at as nothing but pieces of meat.
I mean, that's the reality is this, right?
That
I
that's
think
that
when
that's the crazy part of it. And that's when people try to talk about modesty and like, oh well, blah blah blah, you're dressed like this and you're dressed like that. It's like, dude, honestly, it didn't matter if I wore a muumuu out this house. I mean, I love all of our people. You know what I'm saying? I love black people. I love all our people, whatever, right? Muumuus are now even sexualized. I'm not gonna hold you. I'm not gonna hold you, bro. It doesn't bother me. I don't give a fuck. It is what it is. Muumuus is cute as fuck. But yes, grandmama, great grandmama used to wear a house coat or a muumuu, and they be in that house and they be cooking and they cleaning and blah blah blah. It wasn't looked as a sexy thing or whatever. They're saying it now because obviously if grandma and great grandma had 10, 12 kids, it wasn't bothering great grandpa, great granddad. He was
I
throwing
mean,
it in, but there was no birth control. So of course, anytime that they had intercourse, they were getting pregnant. It wasn't a thing of I want all these kids. Sometimes, oops, damn, here's another baby, and that's
yeah.
kind of what happened. But
I
now,
mean, we've been in my culture, we've been wearing muumuus forever. When I go to India, that's what I wear. I sit in my muumuus at
right,
night. Like that's
right,
what we do. So it's not even that it was, I mean, it has been sexualized, yes, but all along, it's just been like this is what you wear to bed and we gonna get it in regardless. You know what I'm saying? Like
right.
it doesn't matter whether you look good in it or not. I'm attracted to you either way, and we're gonna get it in. And that is like everybody is what I want to emphasize too is not to focus on not to you but to people that are watching, like not to focus on the country, like focus on
That's what I'm saying.
just
Men across the people across the
it's
board,
across like
board.
it's there's a lot about religion that's radical and there's a lot about religion that's peaceful, and it's understanding the difference. We can sit there like because right now there's so much hate across anybody that's Muslim. It bothers me because I'm like, think about all of the evil things that Christianity has done. Nobody wants to highlight that, but because it's a religion that they're unaware of and because it has,
Mhm.
there have been some radical people that have done some horrible things to this country as well. It's looked at as that it's like I go to Saudi Arabia pretty often, and it's one of the most religious countries in the Middle East. Like, I mean, they're very strict about pork and alcohol. Like, this is all
Mhm.
not allowed in that country. It's very strict. It is one of the most peaceful countries I've been to, and I've grew up there. My sister lives there. So when I go there, like the men respect the women so much there. Even though back in the day there wasn't a lot of rights that women had, yes, that is an issue that has happened. And there are some families that are extremely radical that do horrible things to women. Yes, but that's in any country. But there's also some, like when I tell you, walking in the streets of Saudi Arabia, I feel so safe.
Mm.
So safe. A man is always going to look out for me, no matter what that man is. There are going to be some disgusting men. Don't get me wrong.
Right,
I'm not saying
right,
all of those men,
right,
but
right.
majority of the men, they give privilege to us as women. We get to sit in a certain area first. We get to be air conditioned before the men. We get the privileges for the most case. And I'm not saying that I would never be unsafe there. I'm always around family, and people that are in my family that are men are always protecting us. But when I tell you the way that I do not feel safe in the United States crossing the street by myself
Right.
at all,
Mhm.
because there's no respect. And I'm not saying that there are some places in the United States that men are respectful. There might be, but you constantly have to be on a swivel because there's no rules or remedy. Like you will literally go to jail and get an arm cut off for a crime in Saudi Arabia.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Right.
they take that kind of shit seriously. And they
Mhm.
proved it because there was a time when women were not allowed to drive. Women did get the privilege of driving, but the accidents increased. And it's not because it's women, but it's because you take a certain gender or a certain group of people and they haven't driven in this country where the roads are different, all the rules are different.
Mhm.
There's going to be an influx of accidents. You just
Mhm.
have to get over that period, and then once more women start driving, it'll be fine. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? But the king was like, no, 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 this is stressing me out. We're just going to take it back. But there was one lady who had a license at, so now the rule is if you've gotten your license, you can drive. But if you don't have a license, there's no opportunity for get it anymore. But back in the day when women were, it was illegal for women to drive. This one, the white lady that was teaching there as an expat, was like, fuck it, I'm going to drive anyways.
Mhm.
She got kicked out of the country so quickly, so quickly. They were like, oh, no, you can't respect our rules. You're out of here. She didn't even get to say bye to her family. She was gone.
Right.
So it's like, if you know the rules and regulations, if you don't like it, don't go there. Don't visit there. This is how they live and it works. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
that's why I'm always saying, like, when people are like, oh, they're Muslim, there's a girl right now in Michigan. She said that a woman that got in the pool with a full burqa was unsanitary because she had clothes on it that had germs.
Do you know
Do
what
you
a
know that?
pool is?
Do you know that like burqas are made in swimsuit material? It just bothers you because it covers her head and her body. And who are you to talk about germs, Miss Caucasus?
That's what I'm saying. Like, do you know what a pool is? Do you know the risk of getting in the pool?
The pool is so freaking filthy.
So
You know how many kids piss in that pool?
that's why
How many adults?
what I learned when I first started TikTok. I don't know how I got on there, but I was on Pool Talk. I love me a Pool Talk video. Oh my god, I love watching them put the big, huge. They would call them like big breath mints, and they drop them in the pool to like get the
Oh wow, I never saw this. I want to watch it.
yeah, I love watching Pool Talk. It's so watching them put the shocker in and how it
You
changes.
know what I got stuck on? This reminds me of when they take apart ice skating
Oh yeah,
ice
I just
skating
saw one
rinks,
of those. I just saw one
and
of
then they put it
those.
together. I've been on that. I've
Yeah,
been
I
so
love
obsessed
that.
with
The
those.
Jamboni and they like on it riding and stuff. I love stuff like that. I love how it's made stuff. It's pretty interesting. But
Yeah.
when I was watching these pool thingies, what I learned, and this is the reason why I love TikTok, because a lot of people think it's just a social media thing. Yes, it is. But I've learned so much stuff that I probably would have never even consumed if it wasn't for this application.
Yep.
Is that if a pool, she was like, a pool isn't supposed to, because somebody, she had dropped like a lot of these bars in there. And they were like, oh my gosh, is that overwhelming smell of bleach? Isn't it going to be crazy? And she replied to it and she goes, actually, if a pool, you're never going to find an at home pool. Think about how many at home pools you have or you've ever
Mm,
been in. Have they ever smelled like bleach?
no,
And you talking about like, no. She goes, the public pools that you go to, like YMCA's, all those smell like bleach, right? She goes, the reason why is because people pee in those pools. So that's the reason why, is because the urine is interacting with the chemicals and stuff like that that's in the pool, and it's producing that bleach smell, but there's never a bleach in the pool because it's like, well, because of that chlorine. Like this thing about the
it's the
chlorine doesn't have
ammonium
like,
in the pee.
yeah, it's mixing with it. So
Wow,
that's the reason why you're getting that overly bleachy smell. She goes, if you think about it, when you go to a person's regular pool or at the house, you don't smell that. It's not
that's
that's not
so
bleach
true.
because no
It's
one's
so
putting it
true.
in.
Yeah,
I was like, yo, Shorty put me on game. And I said, I now know better that I, Candace Hayes, am not gonna just be
Candace
if
Hayes.
I smell any bleachy ass water, like, hey, this may not be the water for me.
This may not be the water for me, bitch.
I'm all set. But Benita, thank you for being here. I appreciate you for coming
You're
here,
welcome.
being with me for a whole extra hour. I appreciate it.
I hope I didn't talk your ear off
Oh,
and
girl,
ruin
I
you.
love this. This is communicative. This is conversational. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is great. Please tell the people where they can find you if you want them to find you, and if you got anything going on.
Oh, you ain't gotta find me. I'm cool. You can find me on the next
I'm
show.
screaming.
You can find me on the next show. I don't like the attention. I
Ah,
don't like none of that.
oh,
But
hi.
if you know where to find Candace, you'll probably see me somewhere in the comments. You know what I'm saying? And that's about it. So
Yes. So what is going to happen is July 9th, I'm going to have a tribe night with all of my people. We're going to have this podcast. We're going to play lovely games and have funs and conversations and all that
in
stuff.
person,
Yeah. So I'm super excited for that. Um, but yeah. So everybody who wants to
we'll
join
see you
on,
there.
I'll give them a link and stuff. So we'll see you there. But yeah, you guys know me, it's your girl Chase.
Let's do a trial run in June. Let's do like one virtually before
Yeah, we can do
the
that.
one you
We
do.
can do that. That's no problem.
Let's do one in June, and then that way you can build a little flyer for it, put it all over TikTok, and just get
Yeah. That'd be
everybody in
cool.
Tribe to join.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea. Let's do it. Let's play some games.
I like
I'm
the
ready.
thing. But it's your girl
Game night hosted by C. Hayes, bitches. Let's
Hey!
go. Tribe game night. Pew, 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 pew.
But it's your girl Chase and C Hayes with my how you say it, as long as that flavor stays in your mouth. You can find me on Instagram at Candy Taste Sweet and on TikTok at C.Hayes INC. You can also follow me right here at full.frequency. All right. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night, and I'll see you guys later. Thank you, Jim, and thank you, Eric, for watching.